What's up everybody, Crypto Noah back with another video. In this video we're going to be covering a decentralized money market platform that's doing things a little different in Morpho Blue. Per usual, we're going to go through the docs, going to do a website walkthrough, and at the end I'm going to tell you if I would use the platform or not and why. So without wasting any time, except for this is not financial advice, my own perspectives and opinions, let's jump straight into the content, starting off with the docs. So here on the introduction, it says Morpho is a decentralized lending protocol with different entities and individuals contributing to its development and adoption. As a result, the documentation refers to different areas of Morpho which are worth distinguishing. So you have the Morpho protocol, which is pretty much the application that you would use, it seems like. You have the interface, you have governance, Morpho Labs, which is the company behind it, a France registered association that regroups the main contributors like Morpho Labs, etc., etc. So Morpho Blue is the most recent protocol version, and it's independent of Morpho optimizers, which we'll get into. So it's a simple lending primitive layer that allows the creation of immutable and efficient lending markets in a permissionless way. Then you have the optimizers, which are built on top of incumbent lending pools and provides the lending and borrowing rates of users with a peer-to-peer matching algorithm while preserving the same liquidity and risk parameters. And the three instances are the Aave v3, the Aave v2, and then the Compound v2 optimizer. Okay, so let's talk about their vision. So it says here, lending and borrowing form a complex market with diverse user needs, risk tolerances, and sophistication levels where no single interface can cater to all use cases effectively. The vision for the Morpho interface is to function as an explorer of the Morpho protocol, offering a comprehensive yet unopinionated way to analyze and interact with Morpho contracts. Moving on, it says here risk-reward trade-offs are multi-dimensional. It says financial primitives involve multi-dimensional risk-reward trade-offs such as liquidity, rate, loss tolerance, and terms. Interfaces must allow users to express their risk preferences, which can make the UX complex. It goes on to say the Morpho interface is a network explorer. It says here, Morpho Blue allows users to choose markets and risk parameters, accommodating various risk-reward appetites and user personas. The Morpho interface serves as a neutral front end similar to the Etherscan for Ethereum, making Morpho contracts readable and accessible. So it's almost like you can run your own vault and pick your own strategies and determine your own risk parameters, and that will play into the filter when people are searching for what they're trying to do. Is the best thing I got from it. They're not doing the best job explaining it, but hopefully that makes sense. It says here accessible and auditable, so it's fully open source, right? They have SDKs for building specialized apps, IPFS self-hosting, which is pretty good. They also talk about how it's not a lot of lines of code. And you have the ecosystem page, which shows all the different specialized and feature-rich products built on Morpho, right? And we'll show this when we go to the website, and it kind of shows what each protocol is using Morpho for. You hit DApp guidelines and it'll pretty much show you how everything works. You can watch this video here on YouTube. And if we go to governance, you can see that Morpho is a big advocate of decentralization. So they are aiming to be a full-fledged DAO if they aren't already. And if we go to Morpho token, full transparency, I don't own the token. I don't ever plan on owning it. But it's worth talking about because they give away a lot of it in yields on the platform, as you'll see. But it says here the Morpho token is Morpho Protocol's governance token. Morpho DAO, made up of Morpho holders and delegators, governs the Morpho protocol. So typical DAO, more tokens you get, the more voting rights you have. And it says the governance system uses a weighted voting system in which the amount of Morpho tokens held determines voting power, like I said. They'll be able to vote on changes, including deployment and ownership of Morpho smart contracts, turning on and off the fee switches built into Morpho Optimizer and Morpho Blue to centralize the hosting of the front end to the protocol and governance and govern the DAO treasury. And then they also go to show the initial token distribution. So most of it is saved for, incentives and, pretty much bootstrapping liquidity so they can reward liquidity providers. Although this model is not the best for the token price because a lot of people just farm and dump, but only time will tell. So now we go over to Morpho Blue. It says Morpho Blue is a trustless and efficient lending primitive with permissionless market creation. You can pretty much supply collateral, get a yield, borrow against that collateral. Typical Aave stuff, but they just have a little different twist on here, where essentially if you supply an ETH and people aren't borrowing enough ETH, they might use that liquidity for USDC or wrap Bitcoin. They basically have risk parameters at play, but they allow you to get extra yield. or a better yield, I should say. So it's an over-collateralized lending platform, just like Aave, right? They tell you about the collateralization, loan to value, borrowing, interest rates, repayment. All this is standard stuff if you've used any kind of money market platform. So now let's talk about the risk management. So it says traditional lending platforms incorporate mechanisms that allow token holders to participate in risk management on behalf of users. However, this approach restricts the number of listed assets, confines users to a single risk profile, and is not scalable. Morpho Blue removes these limitations by separating risk management from the protocol. So it says instead of relying on governance to list assets and manage parameters, Morpho Blue is designed to leave choice up to the users. It allows anyone to create markets with any loan asset, collateral asset, risk parameters, or oracle, and for users to interact with any deployed market. Under this approach, users can independently assess and manage their risk and return without restrictions imposed by governance. This allows Morpho Blue to satisfy broader risk appetites and support diverse use cases. And it goes on to say advanced lenders benefit from the added flexibility, but for users accustomed to risk management being done for them, interacting with Morpho Blue directly could be too complex. However, Morpho Blue was designed so that risk management layers can be rebuilt on top of the protocol to simplify the user experience. So they have a liquidation mechanism to mitigate the risk of default and protect the lender's capital. So when an account becomes unhealthy, meaning its loan to value on a given market exceeds the market liquidation loan to value, the account's position can be liquidated. Anyone can perform this liquidation by repaying the account's debt in exchange for the equivalent amount in the market collateral asset, along with the incentives. To avoid being liquidated, borrowers can track their LTV in real time and either repay the loan partially or entirely, or add more collateral to their position. And they go on to show how it works with all of the math. But just keep a healthy loan to value score. It normally, I do most of my borrowing on Radiant Capital, and normally when it's in red, it's not safe. Yellow is moderate, and green is like pretty safe. Try to keep it in the green or the yellow. I don't like to go in red. I prefer to be able to sleep at night. So now let's talk about positions, right? So a position is created whenever someone supplies, provides collateral, or borrows, or does both. And unlike protocols like Aave or Compound, positions in Morpho are not tokenized as A tokens or C tokens. Instead, they're tracked using a mapping at the singleton smart contract level. More on singleton in a bit, but this is pretty cool how they do this. This approach simplifies the system and reduces dependency on ERC20 token standards, offering a more efficient way to manage user positions. So if we go to advanced, it elaborates on the singleton contract. So it says Morpho Blue is designed under the singleton contract. This means all markets are contained within one single smart contract rather than each market having a separate contract. This design simplifies the protocol and significantly reduces gas consumption when users interact with multiple markets. The benefits are simplified interactions. Users can interact with multiple markets within a single transaction, saving on gas fees. Concentrated liquidity. So the contract concentrates liquidity for flash loans, making it more efficient and accessible, and unified logic. So all core functionalities and user-facing entry points are contained within one file. Now, just to elaborate on the singleton contract a little bit more, this is the same framework that Uniswap v4 is using, in that all the liquidity pools are under one contract. So if I were to go to like swap Chainlink and Gala, some odd pair that no one created on Uniswap, the Uniswap router will show me probably going from Chainlink to Wrapped ETH to ETH, then to Gala. So I'm having to do 3 separate transactions before I can get to my swap that I want to get to. And I'm paying a gas fee every time I do this versus a singleton contract. Instead of having to do 3 separate swaps, if everything's under one contract, it'll just take the path of least resistance and do it in the cheapest way and save a lot of gas fees and do it in one transaction, right? So it's kind of the same thing on here, which makes it a lot easier. So let's talk about the benefits of Morpho Blue. So it's trustless, meaning it doesn't upgrade. The protocol will run and behave the same way forever. It's governance minimized, meaning Morpho governance cannot halt the operation of a market or manage funds on users' behalf, nor does it impose specific Oracle implementations. And it's simple. It's only 650 lines of Solidity code, and this makes it particularly easy to understand and safe. More code, the more chance it is for vulnerability. But that doesn't mean it's impossible. It just means it's lesser likelihood. It's efficient, higher collateralization factors, improved interest rates, low gas consumption because of a single token contract. And then it's flexible, developer friendly, permissionless risk management, and permissionless market creation. In terms of security, they do have a lot of smart contract audits. They look pretty good. They fixed all the vulnerabilities that came back, and they even got some extra on top of that. So you guys feel free to go through them. I'm not gonna go through them here just so I can keep this video as short as I can because it's already getting pretty long. And they also have a bug bounty. So they're doing 2 bug bounty programs. So this bug bounty is basically like, you know, if you find a bug, depending on the severity of it, you can get paid out. So I like when projects have lots of audits, and I like when they have bug bounties because it shows that they're serious and, you know, they want the project to grow, and they know it's not going to grow if people don't think it's safe. Then they go to explain the risks. You got smart contract risk, which is existing anything in DeFi, oracle risk. Oracles can malfunction. Counterparty risk, liquidation risk, bad debt risk for lenders, meaning like if I supply something and all of that supply gets borrowed against, I won't be able to pull off what I supplied until the loan is repaid, right? Then you have liquidity risk for lenders as well, right? So this is pretty typical when it comes to a money market fund. That's why you want to find a protocol with a pretty healthy TVL, which brings me to the next thing. So if you go to DeFi Llama and you scroll down, you can see that in all of DeFi, Morpho is number 18 in terms of total value locked. If we click on it, it's $1.8 billion in total value locked, which is good. And it's been growing healthily since 2022. So they've been around a long time. We just haven't heard of them. But you can see that that TVL has just been growing steady. I like that. I like that it's not just exponential up and straight down. You know, it seems pretty consistent. Now, if we go on the website, you know, you go on here, pretty cool graphics. They talk about pretty much what they talk about in the docs. Show some of their partners, their audits, everything like that. Show some of their backing. So they were funded by A16Z, Nascent, Pantera Capital, Coinbase, Spark Capital. So some pretty big names. And if we go on to launch the app, you can see some of their vaults. So net APY on the Spark DAI vault. Remember, you can create your own vault, your own strategy, and your own risk parameters and all that stuff. But you can see you have an APY, and then you have another APY in Morpho tokens, right? And this is a big reason why I wouldn't buy the tokens, because that's a lot of tokens being given away. 47 million, you got 52% APY. That's a lot. But let's click one of these just so you can kind of see what kind of data it shows you. It gives you the total supply, the performance fee. So there's a fee to invest into this. And I believe you probably set your own fees, right? The liquidity, the deployment date. It gives you the address, the token that they're using, the supply, the APY, all that stuff. And it gives you that allocation breakdown as well, and the reallocation. So it gives you all the data. If we go to borrow, you can see how much it's costing to borrow certain assets, right? And you're getting paid to borrow as well, which is pretty cool. So you got wrap Bitcoin on here, wrap staked ETH, a lot of weird assets, a lot of weird stable coins on here. But hey, 1 billion TVL is 1 billion TVL. You can import a position, and then you click ecosystems and you can see all the ecosystems. Now that we went through everything, you see how the platform works, went through all the docs. Would I use this platform or not, and why? I would use it if I needed to. I trust it. You know, it's been audited. They got the bug bounties, so I don't believe it would be hacked. Although it's possible, I wouldn't bank on it. I wouldn't put my money on it, but I wouldn't use it. I'm okay with managing my own positions and my own risk. Like, this is what I do full time. Maybe if I was a person who maybe wanted to take more of a back seat, even still, it's not hard to supply and borrow on platforms like Aave and Radiant and be able to monitor your loan to value score. Like, you just figure out what price, like if you're borrowing against ETH, what price does ETH need to hit for me to get liquidated? If it's like $1,000 or something, you know, it's probably not going to happen. So you can, you know, rest assured. All it is just adding more money. So I wouldn't need to use something like this. I wouldn't use it for that reason, but I do trust it. So last thing I'll say, if you guys want to get access to a world-class DeFi community filled with yield farmers, professional coaches, our flagship Know It All Academy, where we teach you how to generate passive income on blue chip assets, you know, you get our buy and sell calls, just all kinds of different incentives. Click the link in the description, book a free strategy session. You'll talk to me or one of our coaches. We'll answer any questions you have on crypto, yield farming, DeFi, investing, and ultimately determine if our program is a good fit for you. If it's not, at least you get off the call a little bit smarter. So with that, I thank you guys so much for tuning in. I love every single one of you watching, and I will see you in the next video. Take care and trade safe.